Let's talk consistency. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. We're talking about consistency without burnout. It's the last Sunday. What the day is? Sunday. It's the last Sunday in September, the last Sunday in Q3. We're about to go into October and we're about to go into Q4. Y'all signed up. Y'all said y'all was all a part of this great lock-in and all of that stuff coming into September. But have you been consistent with that? Where are you in that process? Like, are you consistent? How are you feeling about it? Are you burnt down? Things like that. Because today I want to tap in and talk about consistency without burnout. Basically, how can you go about finishing strong? I know that this last week and a half, for me personally, my consistency has not fully been there. There are other things that needed my time, my attention, and my focus, and I gave it that. And now, as I'm coming back into getting ready for this week, the next month, the next quarter, I want to figure out ways that maybe I can adjust, that I can adapt, that I don't necessarily want to say be more consistent, but I guess in part be more consistent, but just go about like having and figuring out what's that going to look like in this season. And I'm thinking about the season being Q4, like ending the year, preparing for 2026 and all of that. And so as you really start looking at and thinking about and even talking about like consistency, what does that look like and what does that mean and how can you go about creating that and having that for your life in such a way that you don't have to burn out to have it. You don't have to burn out to do it. Because so often we go through life and life be lifing, and as life is lifing, we're sitting here looking at, and when I say stuck with, I don't want it to be like a negative version of stuck with, but we're nonetheless stuck with these tasks that we need to do, that we want to do, that we have to do, and we're like, okay, what now? What excuse me. What now? What next? How can I actually, work on this whole idea and this whole process of being consistent, but doing it in such a way that it doesn't leave me feeling burnt out or worse, actually burnt out. What does that look like? What does that sound like? Like, what's next is essentially kind of what it comes down to. And as you kind of think about this, I want you to start thinking about how can I maintain focus? How can I protect my energy? How can I overall and all around just be productive as this year is starting to wind down? We're coming into that time when you're like, oh, it's 90 days left in the year. Coming into fall, that was basically 100 days left of the year. Q4 was the last 120 days of the year, thereabout. And so now that we're at this point, I kind of want to talk about three main things. Managing your energy over managing your time. I want to talk about like your non-negotiables, and then talk about accountability. And so if we look at your energy, what you're committed to, what you're connected to versus your time, you need to protect your energy in order to sustain performance. So let's look at me. Like, I can talk about me like this past weekend. Right now, I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I want a nap. But I don't have many hours in the day within which I can get a nap in and still get work done. Because I'm trying to prep for not just this week, but start, doing some of that October and Q4 prep. But I also have a couple other meetings and things like that I have today. And so I'm like, okay, well, if I don't have that much energy, what can I do to maximize my energy? Generally speaking, going for a walk is a thing that I can do that gives me back energy. But then I think it stopped. Right before I started my live, it came down raining. And it was supposed to rain it said it was supposed to rain for the next couple hours. It was a good, percentage of rain chance. But I'm like, okay, if I can't get a nap in, at least getting outside in the sun, getting outside in nature is a good way that I can get me some more energy back. And also at the same time, go ahead and start getting my brain to percolate so that when I sit down to really start working and I'm thinking about all the things that I need to do to, prepare for this week, prepare for this quarter, prepare for the month, like kind of getting my brain going to do my brain dump and my to-do list. And so if you think about like, okay, let me start doing the work to protect my energy, Because in doing that, you're able to kind of like maintain and sustain that ability to perform. Because there are going to be times when you have limited hours in the day. Every day. But today is a prime example. Okay, I got home, I'm home, I need to like unpack, get situated, get ready for the week. What can I do to maximize the time that I have, but also to make sure that I'm showing up in a way that's in alignment with my energy? And one thing that I can do in my sleep essentially is planning. But planning in the sense of like brainstorming, kind of coming up with a game plan of like, okay, I can work on this, then that type of thing. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on with the capacity that I have. Excuse me. One of the things that I have to do is like my monthly planning session with my friend. So that'll be a good time to plan. I do have one of my coaching program, we do like a monthly plan to kind of outline the next month. And that's tonight. Then I have another meeting. And so I was kind of like, okay, I was thinking of doing a walk to kind of end my night. But they're like, well, I got these 2 meetings. So I'm like, well, maybe I can get a walk in after like my monthly planning session to like wake me back up for my last 2 meetings of the night. I don't really know yet, especially with the potential for rain. So I got to kind of like readjust that. But like as I look at it and really think about, I'm in a phase, I don't want to say a phase. I don't have much energy, but I also don't have necessarily time, space, or capacity to get a nap in. So what can I do to manage my energy, and in doing so, managing my time? Because to me, it's more important to manage your energy than to manage your time. And it's sometimes going to be more important to manage your time than your energy. Because there are going to be times where you have to push yourself to do something even when you don't feel like it doing it. I've got the time, I don't necessarily have the energy. But for the most part, I talk to you guys a lot about working in flow with your body, with your systems, and all that thing. So I'm teaching you more about energy management and fitting that into your time management. Because oftentimes, your energy peaks and ebbs and flows. Generally speaking, at about the same time every day. Generally, I'm not a nap person. But when I'm drained, i.e. going to bed later than normal, getting up in the morning, things like that. We went bowling last night, and it was probably like 10:45 by the time we got home, so it was after 11 by the time I fell asleep. And then I still naturally kind of on my own woke up between 6:45 and 7:30. It's like somewhere in there. I officially was up. And so, because that, I don't have the time that I normally would have, i.e. a whole weekend to prepare for the week. But with that, I need to understand what are the non-negotiables that must get done. And that kind of brings you to the next phase, literally, non-negotiables. So how can you decide what to do and what to drop? Because I have limited time, what are the things that must get done that are going to make me feel better for the morning? Making sure that I have my clothes picked out, like my work clothes, my workout clothes, like my podcast for the week, knowing what my personal development is for this week, having a brain that can kind of understand what needs to happen this week. Like, even if those things aren't themselves done, but understanding like, okay, what's going on this week? What do I have? And making sure I kind of have that kind of game plan and that kind of idea. And so I know what it looks like for me to be able to identify and understand my non-negotiables. But you might be in a place, space, situation, or thing to that effect, to where you're like, I don't really know what my non-negotiables are. Like, I know there are things that I need to get done. I know there are things that I have to get done. But like, what else can I do that will help me to identify which of these things that I'm looking to do, which of these things that I'm saying that I need to do, that I must do, are truly non-negotiables. When I think about non-negotiables, I think about the things that are going to help move me forward, that are going to help me to show up, that are going to help me to maintain my time, my energy, and things of that nature, that are going to help me to be in that best position to win, to be successful, to show up for myself, to start the week off strong, to have this whole idea of what the Success Starter series is all about. What can I do that will help me to plan, to prepare, and to be in that best position to really show up and show out? And doing it in a way that still matches with your energy, with your capacity. Because as we go through, these time, these spaces, and this space to where the thing that I say that I want to focus on might not be the thing that I say that I have the capacity to truly do. And so that's why it's important to really understand your energy versus your time versus your energy, to understand what are your non-negotiables, And then that brings me to the last point of accountability. Like, what are you using to keep you on track to help you to stay accountable? Because, like, for me, I'm looking at my to-do list, my planner, my brain, all of those things that are going to help me. Hey, Fiona, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm coming off of, honestly, I'm coming into this busy season, this busy phase that I've been talking about, like in September, to plan, to prepare, to get me ready. And then things happened, most of which were out of my control, some of which were within my control, to where I had to do some pivoting and adjusting. Like, the date that I needed to leave to go to Boston got pushed back by a day. Honestly, because of some of the things that I didn't get done because of things that popped up at work, I'm kind of happy for that extra day to be able to work. And then, as I, pivot and adjust those things, like, okay, me and my friend were supposed to be going together. Now we're still meeting there, but we're, she's flying from a different location than I am. And so it's like, okay, well, the plans that I had for, how are we going to meet up? How are we going to do X, Y, and Z? Now is it a thing? But that means I can now just depend on me, and I don't have to necessarily consult with someone else for my plans. And so as things have happened, it's like, okay, maybe not ideal, but then what's the flip side of it? I can do whatever I want. Like, if I want to come home in the middle of the night, if I want to come home crack of dawn, if I'm willing to pay this amount for this flight versus this flight, there's a flight that, is Frontier, Spirit, and you pack heavier than I pack, like, whatever the case may be, what adjustments can I make? What can I do? And so when it comes to the accountability aspect of it, what are you using to track? Like, me is my brain dump. It's my to-do list. It's things of that nature of understanding what I need to do. Like, I know I have a list of what plane tickets I need to get. Upcoming travel I need to work on and think about. Like, even honestly in the 2026, like, Q1 travel has already started being planned. And it's like, okay, well, I have these things, so what's next? And so as you look at and think about accountability, whether that be in working with a coach, like with working with a productivity and accountability coach who's going to keep you accountable and to help to make sure that not only are you tracking, but you're actually doing the work to stay on track, that day to day you're being consistent and you're showing up in a way that's going to help you to be beneficial. And so as you think about, like, what accountability systems do you need? What accountability systems do I need that are going to help me? Do you need something or someone who's going to help you to create that game plan, reverse engineering, and hold you accountable? Do you need someone to just kind of like check in? We were talking on Clubhouse earlier, and one of the guys, D, was talking about, like some weight loss goals or whatever like that he had. And he was like, I know it's very doable, blah, blah, blah. It just means I need to be consistent with these things. And I'm like, don't forget the nutrition aspect, because I've been consistent in my workouts, but also I've just been eating. And I know that you can't outwork a bad diet. It's a lifestyle, though. So this isn't meant to be I'm doing it for this purpose, and then after that, it's over. It's a lifestyle. And so being the things are lifestyles, the ultimate aspect of it is consistency. And with the consistency, there are going to be ebbs and flows. And so as you ebb and flow, what is going to be that accountability system to help you to get back on track? And so I had told him, like, hey, do I need to check in on you? Because he comes to our clubhouse rooms pretty regularly. We have 3 clubhouse rooms a week. He typically makes at least one of them, sometimes 2, and sometimes all 3 of them. And so it's kind of like, okay, what can I do to hold you accountable? Because we, in a sense, we have the same goal. And as we have the same goal and I'm holding you accountable, I can't be calling you out like, oh, you didn't do X, Y, and Z if I'm also not going to do it. So not only can my accountability to you help me, but you can also hold me accountable in the same way. And so what accountability systems do you need? Is it a tracker? Is it looking to be like, did I check this off? Did I do this thing? Is it accountability in the form of a coach, like I was saying? Like, what is it that you need to create, to have, and to utilize for yourself that's going to help you to stay consistent? Start there. Use that. Understand that. And put that to work for you in a way that's going to be beneficial. What ultimately is the goal? That's really what the question comes down to. And once you really understand what really is the goal, what is next? Because when you really think about consistency without burnout, it's about your ability to show up. Like, even when I use the, saying it's a lifestyle, not a diet, there are going to be times where you're like, you know what, I just want to eat. I just, like, whatever. And you understand what comes with that. And that's sometimes what not burning out looks like. Not, yes, there are times where you need to be disciplined and things like that, to where you're like, no, I'm going to push through. I'm going to, eat the healthy food that I know I should eat. Or something that I also do for myself is don't give in to the craving that day. If I still want it tomorrow, for example, then I'll get it. Now, I don't know if my body has started to understand that. And they're like, okay, I'll just want it until you give it to me. And then you're like, okay, well, here we are. And so I really want you to think about how can be consistent? How can you, be consistent without that burnout aspect? Like, how can you really show up and launch yourself into Q4, into October, in a way and in a place and in a space that's going to be the most beneficial to you? What do you need to really look at to balance out life? What do you need to choose? How can you identify what to choose and what matters most? How can you balance out your time in a way that helps you to do that? Like, we talked about boundaries, like, even on Clubhouse. We've talked about boundaries before here, and so do you need to create or establish or put to use some boundaries that are going to really help you? Like, what do you need? It's time to launch into October and into Q4, to do it with help, to do it with support, to do it with that accountability. And as your productivity and accountability coach, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you, to mentor, to encourage, to all the things that will help you in a way that allows me to help bring impact and insight to your life when it comes to planning, when it comes to productivity, when it comes to your ability to do and to get things done. So what would that look like for you? What would it look like for you to be able to have a game plan that helps you to be consistent, but to do it in a way that does not allow you to burn out, but most importantly allows you to finish strong? And maybe you're at a point where you're like, I know my co-host and co-moderator with Clubhouse, this is her Q1 because her birthday is in October. She uses our Q4 is her Q1. She uses her birthday, i.e. is her new year. And so for her, maybe it's not about finishing strong. Maybe it's about starting strong. And for you, it can be the same way. You don't have to wait for a new month, a new week, or anything like that to make this the time where you say, I'm starting strong. So maybe for you, it isn't about the ending of the year. Maybe for you, it's about laying that foundation, laying that groundwork to start strong. So no matter which end of the spectrum it is, you still need a plan, and you still need to reverse engineer that plan. It's going to help you to either show up and get it done, i.e. finishing strong, or to show up and to kick it off, i.e. starting strong. But whichever end and whichever way it goes for you, it's important that you understand that it's possible to be consistent without the burnout. And as your productivity and accountability coach, I can show you how. And so you can comment below, head to the link in my bio, send me a DM. Let's have a conversation of what that really would look like. And as we go into October and as we go into Q4, stay tuned for the new theme, the new plan for the month, and all of those things. So it's been Coach Lee, your productivity and accountability coach, here for another Sunday, of You've Guessed It, the Success Starter series. Y'all know we go live each and every Sunday. Sometimes, even if I'm tired, I'm a little delulu. But we are here. We are, we've done what we needed to do. And so I hope that you go forth and prosper as you plan and prepare for a successful last week and transitioning week from September into October and into the plans and the things that you have for life. So until next time, it's been Coach Lee, your productivity and accountability coach. Coach Lee is out.